Hello and welcome to another episode of As the Dinosaurs Turn. And in this episode, we'll talk more about our language learning and whatever else. It seems like we start with one topic and then we go off on 5 different tangents. But this one's about our language class and the fact that I just finished mine. As we're recording this, it was last week that I finished it. And we took our test, and I did not well on it. But, I got 11 out of 20, which sounds disastrous. But when you figure that I had no prior language experience, really, I took 2 years of French in high school. And I did it because I thought it would be easier than German, which was the other option in high school back in the 90s. And I was the kind of student who's like, I'm going for... See, I never wanted to actually really... Well, no, that didn't... This isn't coming out right.
He wanted to get it done. Jason was I do enough to get by, but I don't worry about being the overachiever student.
See, right? If you get C's, people hassle you. Your parents and your teachers and stuff, they hassle you that you're only getting C's. Mm-hmm. But if you get A's, then everybody expects you to always get A's. That's a lot of work. So it's like, what can I do to just kind of bob along as you get B's? That's okay.
We are so different. We are so different. I love it. Oh my God.
So that's why I took French.
Also because you figured then you wouldn't ever have to take a language again.
Right. So at that time, I went to Simpson College, where you later were a professor, but they didn't have a language. Well, they did have a language requirement, but I met it by having 2 years of language in high school. This is like 90s we're talking here.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, I don't have to do that. So I had the 2 years of French that I just kind of muddled through. But other than that, I've had no language learning at all and hadn't set foot outside the United States except for 2019. Was the first time I had actually set foot on foreign soil.
Right. So that's walking the Camino. And then we went to Mexico, and I could be a translator there, and you could learn, you understood little bits of things here and there, maybe. Did you understand anything? No, nothing. Okay. Damn.
I've not really picked up any Spanish from you, which is very strange.
Which is funny because there was a point in time when you started doing your own learning, your Rosetta Stone.
I did Rosetta Stone, and I just remember the first thing we learned was Quiero presentarle al señor Molina.
That's all he remembers, and that's all he learned, right? And so that's the thing. So you learned scripted things, and you'd done Duolingo before. Mm-hmm. So you knew kind of how things worked. Did that help you at all in your class?
No, I don't think Duolingo helped at all.
Why?
I think Duolingo is fine if you know that you're traveling to another country for a vacation in the future. Like 6 months from now, we're going to Italy or whatever. And so you pull up your Duolingo and you do the language for that country for the next 6 months. You'll learn some vocabulary words so that when you get off the airplane, you can read a few signs. You go to a restaurant, you can read some of the things that are on the menu. But there is no way that you will ever be able to have a conversation with somebody from what Duolingo teaches you. None.
Well, caveat also that Duolingo is Brazilian Portuguese, which is different than European Portuguese. So let's put that out there too. So, maybe.
And some of us are kind of remedial at things, and so,
we all have our strengths and weaknesses.
Other people's mileage with Duolingo may vary. But, so I took this class, which was the first time in 30 years, I suppose, that I've had a right and proper language class. Mm-hmm. And I guess I feel like it's kind of a minor miracle that I got 11 out of 20 on it instead of 0, because I suppose you could guess your way to 5, I suppose. But I got 11 out of 20. It actually was enough to be satisfactory, but the teacher recommended that I have some private lessons to work on a few things.
Right. And I love your instructor. She's also Tyler's instructor, and she's brilliant and does wonderful things. Like, I think she's fantastic, and very thoughtful, and, you know, really working on applied language and all of those things too. So that's what these classes are. They're not like, you know, we're writing things of like, you've lost your passport, now you need to, or you lost your ID and now you need to go report it stolen, or lost at the GRN or GNR, the police basically. And so it's things like that, or you're, you know. So what are the things that you feel like, talk to me about your class. So people have a lot of these questions. What are your classes like? How many people were in your class?
There were 6. Then one person had to drop out because they had a family emergency, and then there was another person who just stopped appearing. I think she had to work a lot, so she missed. I think she watched the recordings. So there was one other American, one person from Canada, and then one woman who I think was Ukrainian and living in Portugal.
Right.
And then the one who worked and couldn't come to class a lot was from Turkey and living in Portugal. So it was really a diverse group of students.
I've met people from all over the world in my classes, you know, Turkey, Ukraine, South Africa, Nigeria, France, Belgium, Italy, Spain. You know, I mean, so like everywhere. And that was wonderful because you're all learning it together.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's intensive.
It's hard.
It's
especially when your mind isn't wired to work that way. It's a different way of thinking.
Well, we know this. We know that language learning is a rewiring of the brain, or a wiring of a brain that can only happen through doing language learning. And that's a part of your brain that you have to actually activate and grow. And so I think that was pretty impressive that you got that far, right? But Sarah, your instructor, had some feedback for you. Didn't she tell you that you needed to calm down and you know more than what you think?
She did. That's paraphrasing. I'd have to look up exactly what she said. It was essentially just, you know more than you think, so just relax.
Relax, yes, relax. It's okay, relax, yeah. And I think that that's a large piece of it. So, and you're doing well. Like, you've talked about how really you want to be functional at the grocery store, or those types of things. How do you feel there? Like checking out or talking to people. Where are you now versus when you got here?
Well, you abandoned me at the store a couple of weeks ago.
I've quit enabling. I was like, nope, I did. I love how he's like, you abandoned me. I did. I said, you can do it. Have fun. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'll meet you back here at some point in time.
I did okay. I understood everything that the person was saying to me. They did ask for my NIF, or if I wanted to use my NIF, and I told them no.
Cop out.
Even though I know it, that's the whole spotlight thing. When the spotlight is shining, it's like, I have no idea what the answer to that is. I do know, but I have no idea right now when the spotlight is shining brightly.
Okay.
I'm going to be getting some information about the private lessons, and then I can move on to, so A1, I guess, is what I was in. Next would be A2, and then you get into the B levels. And within 5 years, I guess we all have to be at what, B2?
A2.
Oh.
It's A2 for citizenship, which is what I love. So, and that actually, for those of you who know languages in some way, shape, or form, that includes the past tenses, and it includes some articles, like prepositions and articles in Portuguese are something else, let me tell you. But yeah, so that includes the past tenses, present tense, and the conjugated infinitive is a more advanced thing. So it's basically preterite and imperfect and present tenses. So
I also have to tell the story of my dad.
Okay.
Because this gives you some idea of foreign language and the the background I have, I was probably like 12 years old, and we were on vacation, my mom and dad and me, at Glacier National Park in Montana, which is in the northwest of Montana, right next to the Canadian border. And my mom wanted to go to Canada. And my dad was an old farmer. He reminds me, Cesar, our neighbor, reminds me a lot of my dad. So Cesar's the guy who farms all this stuff down here. And so my dad didn't want to be there anyway.
He didn't want to go.
He didn't want
to do a vacation to begin with, right?
And so we did go to Canada. And this was pre 9/11. So I remember we rolled up to there was just this little hut, like a ticket booth almost. There was a guy standing outside with a clipboard. I don't know if he was Canadian or American. And my dad had to give him his driver's license, and the guy wrote down a few things and handed it back to him. And we had to state what our business was. And I remember my dad saying, well, we're just here to say we've been here. And we drove across the border. And I don't know how far we drove into Canada, but just far enough to get to a crossroads. And we swung around in the intersection and drove back. And when we crossed the border back into the U.S., my dad said, he said, now you can say I've taken you out of the United States.
That sounds like Melvin.
It does.
I'm sure he was not happy to be on vacation at all, was he?
No. So that was my only experience outside the United States until 2019. So, and when I say that 2019 was the first time, loud motorcycle driving by.
Oh, they must have gone to the River Beach bar.
So that was the first time, 2019 was the first time I had actually set foot, because we didn't get out of the car when we went to Canada.
But that also is kind of his philosophy of culture and language and all of those things too. And like, you were in Western Iowa, that's what you should be doing, that's what you should know, and that's good enough. And
Grandpa Dallas, he didn't like going anywhere either. He always joked, even going to Wisconsin to visit his son, my aunt and uncle and cousins, he wanted a bucket of Shelby County dirt in the car that he could put his feet in. He didn't really, but that's what he said.
He would have. I'm telling you, I'm pretty certain that the only reason why I didn't go into the car is because it wasn't allowed. But I think that that's really entertaining. So coming from that type of a background and then meeting me, and then, that's a whole different world and going additional things. Like, how did you get from that to like, let's move to Portugal and let me learn another language that I have to learn in order to be able to survive in the area I live in?
I guess I have more of a sense of an adventure than people think. I just like to think about things and plan them first before doing them.
Okay. So if you could script the conversation, you'd be totally fine.
I don't know if scripting a conversation in a foreign language would be fine.
Oh, okay. So are you going to take the private lessons and keep going?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And, you already can order consistently at our cafe.
That's true.
We make you do it now. And you also have to pay. Now we're working on the payment part and all the numbers, right?
Yeah.
So you have to do those things. But I think it is the forcing yourself to do things that you are uncomfortable with doing and finding out that it's okay. And that you absolutely, next time, you'll give them your NIF. And that will be your next step. You're going to remember, I have to give you my NIF. I have to give you my NIF. Right? Mm-hmm. And it'll be fine. I'm pretty proud of you. An 11 out of 20. Because think about it. A1 is present tense, and it is basically every single present tense verb of the entire language, all the irregulars. Right? Mm-hmm. That's a lot. It's also all the numbers. Numbers are really important, and they're not easy to learn. So...
There goes the motorcycle again.
Different one. This is a different one. Everybody's out and about. So church is over. We've gotten everything at the grocery store that we needed, and now it's time to relax and be around. Go for a ride, go for a walk, go down to the river beach, go down to the river. Yeah. We have said, and this is one of the things that we probably need to do, we have not been down to the river beach bar.
That's true, we've not.
And it's a language thing, right? And we know we are the foreigners, right? But we have not done that yet.
We'll go, and I'll just let you walk up and
Oh, God.
do your thing.
Oh, I get to be the interpreter and the guide again. Yeah, I've been pushing back at that pretty hard. So when we went out to, when we go out to eat now, everybody orders their own food. I don't order everybody's food anymore. That's a big step.
That's true.
Right? We answer all the questions and all of those pieces. And so I'd say, knowing that we are 5 months in and that you can do a transaction and you can order food in a restaurant and get what you ordered, right? And get what you want to drink. Those are pretty big deals, particularly considering that we're not surrounded by Portuguese people 24/7 all of the time. We're speaking English at home, which, by the way, my English is getting worse and worse, and my Spanish is like decaying into the Portuñol, Spanish-Portuguese mix. It's entertaining. I send some interesting messages. But that's pretty damn good. We haven't even been here a year yet, right? So it's like, we'll just keep working on these classes.
Yep. As a radio guy, I also can sense some changes in my cadence and also those certain pronunciations. I'm having trouble pronouncing the word out.
Out? What are you saying?
I sound more Canadian or Minnesotan. Or
Minnesota.
Go out.
Oat.
Go out.
Oat. Well, yeah. I'm just going to say that even the kids, I've noticed this, and this is only natural, that there's a decay in their English language too, because they're using structures from Portuguese instead of in English. And I'm going to be honest, like, I am excited for that because it's going to help them in school next year. That's a temporary thing, just so you know. So the interference of my Portuguese and Spanish and all that stuff, it's just because my mind is like getting those worked out. And it's the same thing with your English and your pronunciation, those things.
Being from Iowa, though, you don't have an accent.
Oh, that's bunk. You do too have an accent. You do.
They always said Tom Brokaw was hired because he was from someplace in the Midwest.
Wasn't he from Ohio?
Midwesterners don't have an accent.
No.
So there you go.
Oh my God. We know that Midwesterners have an accent. Well, what's with the R in wash? Warsh? Yeah. And Italian? I mean, I'm telling you right now, bunk. Bunk. But it's all going to sort itself out and through those pieces. Jack's doing an intensive Portuguese class, like 3 hours a day solid for 2 weeks. His last class is Monday. It's an A2 class, so it's more advanced than what you're doing. I do not expect him to pass, but he's not doing it to pass.
Hola.
Hola. He's not doing it to pass, right? He's doing it to get ready for school. So those are new things and good things. It's going to be easier. I'm excited to be able to go to a parent-teacher meeting and understand what the heck is going on.
Well, school year starts in about a month as we're recording this, and probably by the time this airs, like maybe 2 weeks before school starts as people are listening to this. So it's like, it's coming.
I can't even believe it. Well, they're 12 and 15 now.
We should be clear, too, we're talking start of school in Portugal.
Yeah.
In the U.S., as we're recording this, a lot of places have already started, I've seen.
Absolutely.
So school here starts somewhere between, what did we determine, September 12th to 15th or thereabouts?
That's about the middle of September.
I don't think we know yet, do we?
They haven't said yet. That's pretty Portuguese as well. They'll send us an email and we'll get it like the couple of days before. But yeah, so they'll start then, and I think that it'll be exciting to see how it goes because we've all been working on our language skills. Tyler, however, is kicking everybody's butt. He has got this. And I don't know. So he just turned 12, which is the same age I was when I started Spanish. And there's just something about magical of that 11 to 12 age that makes a big difference, because he is putting together all kinds of sentences and pulling things together and making jokes and all of that kind of stuff. Like he's going to be just fine. I wouldn't be surprised. Both boys will take Portuguese as a second language test at the end of the academic year again. We'll see where they end up.
Sounds like dogs are barking, so let's just wrap this up then. Thanks for joining us, and catch us again next time.
All right, bye.